Welcome into Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613. From the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, I'm your host, Landon Knight, alongside Craig Sager and Hayden Gilbert. Guys, we're going to start with some breaking news. Access WDUN has just broke the news that the GHSA has made a decision pertaining to this Gainesville team. They faced Brunswick on Friday night. The game was called in the third quarter. Technically, they got the win 42-0, and they're set to face Langston Hughes in the third round of the playoffs. Guys, just brief us in on what the GHSA has decided.
Yeah, so let's start just with what has been laid out. 39 total players suspended. This is after they reviewed the film all weekend, looked at who left the sideline, talked to the officiating crew from the game to see, was there anything that led up to this that we should be concerned about? Kind of how did this happen? And we waited all weekend for this. This was a huge story nationally and for obvious reasons. This is something that could be universally applied in any state. We've seen things like this happen before. There's rules in place on if you leave the sideline, you're automatically suspended. And as you can see from the video right there, the entire team went out there. We saw a lot of different arguments about what should happen. I'd like to separate it into three things. One, what I wanted to happen. As a football fan, you obviously want to see Gainesville at full strength playing Hughes, but that was probably a very low probability. Two, what I thought was going to happen. I actually, when I first saw the video, thought that even no matter who started it, rules are the rules. I thought Gainesville would be eliminated from the playoffs. That's just what I expected. And then three, what did happen, and that is, I guess, 39 players suspended.
Yeah, I think the problem, I do think to some extent Gainesville got the short of the stick. They didn't start it. However, who starts it doesn't matter. It didn't work when we were in kindergarten. They didn't care who started. They're going to end it. The problem with this is that the GHSA's rule is very black and white, especially for the players leaving the sideline. It says that you cannot leave the sideline. If you leave the sideline to go to an area fight, you will be ejected from the game. And that's where this kind of stands of there's not much wiggle room for interpretation there. That's why I believe the majority of these players from Gainesville were suspended. Of the players that were originally on the field during the original altercation, it was mainly Brunswick players. However, the entire Gainesville team almost left the sideline, and my understanding is Gainesville is going to try to appeal this according to a statement by their superintendent, but it's going to be really hard to appeal because the rule is so black and white.
And with that, Hayden, I'm going to read a quote actually from their superintendent. He stated, "While we typically do not condone this type of behavior, we will not sit back and watch our teammates be assaulted by ripping off helmets, punching, and barreling over a helmetless player," said Gainesville City Schools Superintendent Jeremy Williams. "The large majority of our team entered the field with the intent to separate and resolve the incident, not escalate. Every true team would do the same. It's disappointing that a hardline interpretation of the rule was applied and will be appealing." Guys, just talk to me about this quote and your thoughts on it.
I get it. I don't know as a team what you're supposed to do, but that's not your place. That's why we have coaches. That's why we have officials. That's why we have law enforcement at these games. They're out there to break up this fight if it goes wrong. You know, I don't agree with what Brunswick was doing. Apparently, it was chippy all night. The officiating crew didn't do a great job, apparently. But as the team, that's not, as a player, as a high school player, that is not your place. You're not there to go and break up a fight. Your place is on the sideline. We all know that you're not allowed to enter the playing field during a fight. This is something that's drilled into everyone's heads, every high school athlete's head. So, it's just not your place. And I think that they're not going to get anywhere with that appeal.
Yeah.
And guys, when you look at what this matchup could have been, Gainesville versus Langston Hughes, you look at that and go, that could be a really good matchup. But now in this predicament that this Gainesville team is going to be playing without 39 of their players, just how do you guys think that might play out?
Yeah, well, I believe Gainesville was on defense during that play, correct?
They were.
But they were up 42-0, so I don't even know if the players that were already out there on the field were the starters or backups already. But obviously, 39 players, that's a huge loss. It's got to be one of the biggest suspensions we've ever seen being handed out. And what I was talking to Hayden about when we just found this out of those 39, we're in a situation that would be more than a one-game suspension if someone was in the midst of one of those really physical altercations we saw at midfield rather than just some of the guys that stepped out to try to get a vantage point. We'll see, but I think the entire state is kind of disappointed that they didn't get to see this full-strength Gainesville-Hughes matchup. Gainesville, some people at the game said this was one of the best performances they've seen Gainesville have all season long. I mean, this is a very capable team in a very interesting classification. We saw the defending champs go out in the last round, Milton. So, I mean, this would have been an incredible matchup, but I think just the fact that they'd still get to go out there and try to play a game, even shorthanded, that's probably the best case for them in this situation.
Yeah, I think 40 players I mean, I can't imagine that they've traveled more than 60, 70 players to that game. I mean, that's the vast majority of your starters. I don't know what it's going to look like for Gainesville this week. I don't know who stayed on the sideline, who's not in trouble with this. But, I mean, you have a huge uphill battle with Hughes, which really, really sucks. This was going to be one of those games that's a state championship caliber game. This is a game those type of games we look forward to all year, and now we're not really going to get it. We're going to get a very short-handed Gainesville team versus a fully healthy Hughes team that's going to be really hard for them to beat.
And guys, speaking of the playoffs, the coin flip was also today. So just talk about this coin flip and what this means moving forward in the playoffs.
Yes, so this was a heads last round, and the quarterfinals was tails. So that means the top of the bracket, if it's an even seed, will get to host. And there's some big implications like that. You look at in Class 6A, you got Valdosta. At the top of the bracket, they still have to play a red-hot Walton team, but let's just say they were able to win. That would mean Buford, if they are able to get past Douglas County, because Douglas County is a 2 seed, they wouldn't be able to host in that situation. But a 1-versus-1 would go to Valdosta over Buford.
Yeah, I mean, with all of these that we see it every year, especially for those South Georgia teams, this is a huge it's a huge deal because they don't have to come up to the Atlanta area. They don't have to come up north. And it makes it a lot tougher for any team heading down there. They're having to head down to some of the toughest stadiums in the state if you live down there, and now you have a 4 or 5 hour bus ride to go along with it.
And that does favor Thomas County Central, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
If they were to get past Woodward Academy.
And I believe that we have a video to show, so now we're going to take a look at that.
Semi-final universal coin toss to determine who hosts the games with equal seats. I have a coin here that has a heads and has a tails. GHSA is the heads, the football is the tails. This is for 6A, 5A, 4A, and Division I only. The other classifications are seeded 1 through 32, so the higher seed will host. An official friend of mine told me last week that I did not put enough rotation on the coin. So I'm going to do a better job of putting rotation on the coin this week. The heads will be the upper part of the bracket. The tails will be the lower part of the bracket. Here we go. I'm going to do a better job. It is a head. So, if the seeds are tied at the end, when the brackets are posted, when the games are posted this week, the team in the upper half of the bracket will host a semifinal game. This is probably our last coin flip for a good little while, since we're going to all seeding next year, the next 2-year cycle. So, adios, au revoir. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Welcome to the...
And guys, moving forward on Friday night, we will officially be in the 3rd round of the playoffs, the Elite 8. I just want to ask, are there any teams that have made it this far that have surprised you?
Yeah, I think in 6A, it's definitely Walton. I thought they were facing a very tough matchup in that first round against a McEachern team that already beat them by 33 points week 1. So they definitely have surprised me. I think they have a real shot at Valdosta. It's going to be tough, but they seem to have found a lot of sparks offensively. They're playing a lot more confidently, and they finally, after being in so many close games this year, have been able to close it out. I think West Forsyth, that's a team that made it this far last year, but I think they were in a very tough side of the bracket, having to play Hillgrove in the last round. I feel like West Forsyth's a team that probably surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I think for me, probably the most surprising is Jackson County, not because they've been a bad team, just because they've never been here before. Before this year, they had never won a region or a playoff game. Then they go in last week and they beat one of the perennial powers in Milton, a team that's coming off 2 straight state titles, broke their, I believe, an 11-game playoff winning streak. Just an amazing season for Jackson County. I can't wait for this game. I think they have a chance while hosting Rome this week to make a run to the semifinals, which would just be amazing. Coach Mobbs has done an amazing job there. I just can't be more happy for the Panthers out there in Houston.
Well, we're going to be right back after this short break to recap our Colquitt County versus Grayson game, our game of the week last Friday night. We'll be right back after this short break.
Nobody wants to hear the word roaches, because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing, so there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment, so what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this holiday season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts. Go ice skating. Shop holiday markets. And book a Christmas trolley tour. Make your weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at romegeorgia.org.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career. And by Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we're just going to take some time to recap our game of the week from last week in the second round of the playoffs. That was Colquitt County versus Grayson. Guys, Colquitt County was able to keep up with Grayson a little bit. They definitely had their arm in the fight. Grayson did come out with a win, 31-10. But first, I just want to start off by talking about this Colquitt County defense that we got to see from them. We know that Grayson has this dominant defense, but Colquitt County had some really good defensive efforts, especially in that first half of the game. Just, guys, talk about what you saw from them.
Yeah, I thought Colquitt's defense played very well. They forced Stu Smith to really make excellent throws. They put a lot of pressure on him. And Grayson this season, I feel like they have an outstanding passing game. The in terms of the running game, they have a nice rotation back there. It's not as dominant as some of the teams still in the playoffs, but they did a good job because Grayson's offensive line has just been so experienced this year, so powerful. But I feel like Colquitt County did everything they could to keep the game competitive until Grayson was able to pull away at the end.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Colquitt County was just willing to do. I mean, we're looking here at the fake punt. When you're the underdog in a game like this, you have to just take your shots, and you have to take a lot of risks. What I was really pleased with from Colquitt County is they were willing to do that. Unlike a lot of teams that are just going to sit back, and they may only lose 24-10, but we're never in it. Colquitt County was taking the risk to be in this game and to really take a shot at winning this game against the #1 team in the nation.
And Craig, you talk about their passing game, but actually right now they have backup quarterback Deuce Smith. Their starting quarterback Travis Burgess went down in the first game of the season. Deuce Smith had his first start of the season against Thompson. Just talk about what you've seen from him this season and how he's been.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing about it is just how he doesn't look like a backup with his understanding of the playbook, the tempo that Grayson's been running this year, how well they're able to get a lot of different players involved, and he made some excellent third down throws, particularly to Dawson Quarterman, who I think is having just an unbelievable impact for Grayson this year. 6'3" receiver, can jump up, catch it in contact, make a lot of difficult catches. He kind of got Deuce going in this game. He had 3 catches, I think, on their first scoring drive, and that really kind of looked like relieved some of the pressure, allowed Deuce to settle in. I feel like he was the spark.
Yeah, I think when you look at what Quarterman's able to do, he's a great jump ball wide receiver. He's also a good deep threat. He's just that kind of throw it up to me and I'm going to make a play kind of wide receiver. And with a young quarterback that at times you know with a young quarterback, he's going to just make the kind of freak out and just throw the ball up. It's really nice to have that guy that he knows he can just go to and he's going to make a play, which I've been really impressed with. The East Carolina commit, I really think he's probably a better player than that East Carolina commitment.
And then, guys, I also want to extend the same question with this Colquitt County offense. We got to see their quarterback, Cohen Lawson, definitely had a lot of success early in that game. Just talk about what you saw from him.
Yeah, did a great job buying himself time, handling the heat, the pressure that Grayson's able to generate with guys like Eli Harris, Tyler Atkinson coming at you. That's a very tough task, but despite him being a sophomore, I felt like he did a good job keeping his eyes downfield, making good throws out of the backfield to some of the running backs. Wheel routes, very difficult throws he was able to make.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially for a sophomore that when we saw him early in the season, he was not looking like the kind of quarterback he looks like now. He's grown a lot. This is a quarterback that I've been really impressed with throughout the year. You go and look at the film throughout the year. It's gone from, hey, this is a run-based offense. They're not going to throw the ball a ton. You know, they have some problems in the pass game too. This is a very balanced offense, and a lot of that's just his growth and his understanding of the offense. And I'm really excited to see what he does moving forward. He had a great first half. He had some struggles in the second half because Grayson made some adjustments, and with that much talent, it's really hard once they make those adjustments to make counter adjustments. But I thought they just did an amazing job, and he had a really good game. And I think you may see him playing on Saturdays at some point.
And guys, last week we spent a lot of time talking about Colquitt County's running back, Jay Lamar. And Hayden, you actually mentioned on Friday night that your dad said once he gets in the weight room at Georgia, he's definitely going to be an impact at the collegiate level. But just talk about what he brings to this Colquitt County program and what you saw out of him on Friday night.
I mean, when you look at Jay, he has so much potential. He's a really, really talented kid. He already is, I mean, just running over people. But when you look at his frame, he still has a lot. He's not like Nick Chubb was coming out of Cedartown, where it's like, hey, this guy's a man. This guy is 220 pounds. He's all muscle. He still has the body of a kid, which is great moving forward, because if he's doing this with not completely physically developed, when he gets to college and is physically developed, he's just going to be a monster at the next level.
And then in the next round of the playoffs, Grayson is set to face Carrollton. Guys, that's actually going to be a rematch of last year's state championship. It's going to be a really good game. How do you think this game might play out this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think this might be the toughest matchup on paper for this Grayson team. Carrollton's just playing so outstanding. The defense has been great. We talked about it on Friday with this matchup against Harrison, with Aiden Watson, their passing game, the different dynamics of that offense. Carrollton was able to have the game plan, come in there, shut it down. I feel like they're going to be very well prepared from what they're going to see in film for Grayson all season long. It will be interesting to see how aggressive they are defensively in terms of trying to get to Deuce Smith, force him to make throws early, try to get them in 3rd and longs. But I feel like anyone that thinks Grayson, because they're ranked maybe number 1, number 2 nationally, is going to come out and dominate this matchup. I think Carrollton will have something to say about that. And this is a much anticipated rematch of last year's state championship that has probably been motivating this Carrollton team since last December.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really interesting about this matchup is I'm not sure these are the 2 quarterbacks we would have expected to be starting for these 2 teams. Deuce Smith definitely was. We expected Travis Burgess to start all year. The UNC commit, I believe, tore his ACL against Raven Gap in week 2 this season. Deuce Smith came in. And then CJ Cypher, Mason Holtzclaw transfers in, is a really good quarterback. He's still splitting time, but CJ Cypher is just such a talented freshman that you have to get him on the field, and he's playing a lot of football. He's playing really good football. I think that's probably one of the most interesting storylines going into this game.
And guys, Rusty mentioned on the broadcast the other night, what sets apart these competitive Georgia teams is also their coaching. So with this Colquitt County program, they have Coach Sean Calhoun, and at Grayson, they have Coach Santavius Bryant. Just talk about what these 2 coaches bring to these programs.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the ability to improve throughout the season and just find out what works and being able to add new wrinkles to the offense. I feel like both these teams have done this extremely well. They both are adaptive, and you can't really game plan to take away one aspect of their offense. They're going to know, I think, heading into this matchup, Grayson's going to try to do their best to stop the running attack, but they dialed up some very creative play calls. I just feel like you really saw just the commitment to practice and preparation of both these teams.
Yeah, I think when you look at just the coaching staffs in the state as a whole, there's a reason that the state has some of the highest paid coaches in the nation. They just are better. They understand football at a level that, these are guys that have come back from college. They were college position coaches. A great example is Raven County's DC is Bill Stewart, who won a state title, but was the linebackers coach for 3-4 years at Georgia Tech, and is now going to be, I expect, to be back to that head coaching job. College just want these coaches on their staff, but these coaches are just so great and make such good money now in the state of Georgia that they're staying home and coaching high school football.
And looking ahead, our game of the week this week will be Cartersville versus Kell this upcoming Friday night. Right after this, we're going to get the chance to hear from Bobby May, Kell football coach. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Kell football head coach Bobby May. Coach May, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Coach, you're going to face Cartersville in the quarterfinals this week. Just talk about what you're capitalizing on in practice this week.
At this point, we just need to work on, focusing on the basics and continuing to get better and adding any little tweaks based off, what Cartersville does. But, realistically, by this point, if you don't know how to block and tackle and things like that, you're not here. And, so we're just trying to focus on us and stay healthy and get ready to play a really, really good team.
And then, Coach, you guys were in this really tough matchup with Southwest DeKalb. Brock Burris was able to catch the game-winning touchdown in the end. Play action, you guys have been running the ball very well in the game. But what was your confidence just in Caleb and Brock to be able to execute that play in the moment?
Yeah, we didn't throw the ball very much early in the game. And then we had 2 quarters of basically a torrential downpour, so we were running the ball and trying to control the clock. We knew they had a really, really good defense, but we thought we could control the clock. And then, the series before that, we had a really good chance to score and kind of blew it. And we knew the boot would be there. So, us not throwing the ball a lot has very little to do with our confidence in Caleb. We have a ton of confidence in Caleb, and we knew that Brock would execute the play called and that it would be open. So, like I said, sometimes the game just dictates doing certain things, and it really has nothing to do with, like I said, we trust Caleb with everything we have to throw the ball and get critical completions.
And, Coach, we know that Mooney Gibson brings a lot of talent to your team as an athlete, but just talk about that leadership aspect that he brings to your program.
Yeah, he's really good at kind of getting the kids going. when he's playing well, we all seem to be playing well. When he's excited, the whole team seems to be excited. So he's really grown in that aspect. Obviously, he's been playing since he's a freshman, but the leadership aspect of him is from him for us is a little bit new, just because again he's always been one of the young guys until this year. So again, as he goes, we kind of go. And like I said, when he's playing well and excited, we're usually meshing pretty well.
Coach, then I wanted to ask about y'all's defense. It feels like whenever y'all are in these big games, y'all really rely on your defense. Y'all, no matter what the other team's doing, y'all are playing great defensively. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think one of the benefits is like, I call the offense, but we always have defense in mind first. Like, obviously, if they don't score, they can't win. So, sometimes when you have an offensive coordinator who's not the head coach, they're all about scoring points and scoring fast and things like that. That's not really how we operate. We operate with the fact that, like, we want our defense to be fresh when they get on the field, because we know that if they're fresh and they're rested, they're pretty tough to score on. So, like I said, we're built on our defense, and a lot of our best players play defense, and our defense coordinator, our defense staff does a great job. And like I said, we try to control time of possession, and we don't really care if we score 3 points or 2 points or whatever it is, as long as they score 0.
And then, Coach, talk about this week with practice. You got Thanksgiving, but it feels like you guys will probably keep it pretty standard. But what do you guys have planned this week, just in the days leading up?
Yeah, it's not time to reinvent the wheel like I talk about. It's still about blocking, tackling, and it's still about executing your assignments. So, we maybe add a little bit of a walkthrough time and so on and so forth. We're still going to lift like we did, during the season. We're going to lift 4 days a week. And then, like I said, the only difference is probably we're going to do a little bit more, feeding the kids and things like that, since they're at home this week. But like I said, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about staying consistent and getting ready for a really good team.
Then, Coach, I just want to ask you about the culture of this team. In today's world, there's so many teams that just struggle because they have so much. They have star power, and it's all about me, me, me. It doesn't feel like that is with this team. It feels like you have a bunch of players on here that really want to play for Kell and really want to play good football, even though they are these high-end recruits. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think what's been special about this group is that we don't have, a lot of complaints about I'm not getting the ball enough or this, that, and the other. Some of that is maybe because a lot of those guys who are playing both ways, so they have opportunities on defense too. But I think a lot of it is because they bought into each other, and we've had a great leadership committee with this group, and they're hosting Bible studies on their own, and they're hosting team building events on their own, things like that. So, like I said, we haven't had really any issues with me type of stuff. Kids are constantly competing, and even the kids who are quote unquote backups are getting a chance to play because they're practicing hard and working their way through it and staying patient. And then the kids who obviously, again, like, there's probably some receivers on our team who definitely deserve the ball a lot more than they're getting it, but that's not how we're built this year. But they're not complaining, they're staying consistent, they still block their butts off, and they put the team first.
And Coach, clearly this is a huge matchup, but you're actually going to get to have this matchup at home. Just talk about what it means to have this game at home in the third round of the playoffs and that community aspect that brings to this.
Yeah, I think more than anything, it helps us because I know Cartersville is a really tough place to play. Whether it's home or away, we still have to show up and execute. We're hoping that our fans show out. It's been, I think, about 10 years since I don't even know if we played at home over Thanksgiving, but it's been 10 years since we played on Thanksgiving at Kell. So interested to see what the crowd will be like, but more than anything, I'm glad it's not at Cartersville because I know they have a tough environment to play in. But it does give our kids a sense of familiarity because we ended our last 2 regular season games at home too. So we haven't been on the road in a while. So.
And then Cartersville, they've got a lot of speed offensively, some deep threat guys, but you guys have played a lot of outstanding pass attacks this season with this difficult schedule. Cambridge comes to mind. So how do you feel like that's prepared you to go up against this Cartersville offense that's been scoring at a high pace?
Yeah, I think when you get to this point of the season, everybody's really good. And, Cartersville is no exception. Obviously, they're used to playing these type of games. They're really well coached, and they have some really, really good players. And, for us, we feel like we've been battle tested, and we feel like we've played some really, really good teams with some really good players, and we trust our kids to make plays. At this point of the season, you're not going to outcoach anybody, but the kids got to show up and play. And like I said, we trust our kids to do that. But they're super talented. They're really well coached, and I'm sure it's going to be a fun one.
Coach, tonight I wanted to just touch on real quick, y'all's DB room is really talented. It always is. That kind of seems to be one of your MOs as a head coach. There's always just 4 or 5 guys back there that are really talented. Just talk to me about the length and what that brings to your team.
Yeah, I think based off matchups, that's really important. And teams that like to throw the ball or teams that have really good receivers like Cartersville does, it gives us an opportunity to still be able to put an extra guy in the run box and still feel confident in the back end. We against Southwest Cab, the 1 touchdown did come up on a big play, but we were able to eliminate a lot of the other big plays based off just being able to play man coverage, and we always feel like we need to stop the run first. And again, having those DBs in the back end that can do multiple things, not only tackle but can cover a guy on an island, gives us the opportunity to do that. And I think playoff football comes down to being physical in the box and running the ball. So if we can add more guys to the box because we feel confident in our coverage, then that helps us for sure.
And then, Coach, who do you feel like was the kind of leader that helped you guys survive the Southwest DeKalb game? Who stepped up and kind of got that game ball from you?
It would be tough to say one guy. I mean, our defense definitely stepped up. I mean, we've got some injuries that maybe people don't know about, and which has been hampering us on offense. But those guys showed out on defense. But one guy kind of that played really, really well, who's not a quote unquote full-time starter for us and a kind of an unsung hero, is Josiah Owens. He plays a lot of linebacker for us, but at the end of the game, when kind of pass rush situation, he came in at defensive end and he had the sack that ended the game. They had a chance to score late at the end. And he's a senior, another kid for us. Like he's behind 3 kids that are committed to Division I schools, and he just stays locked in and stays focused and always makes plays when it's time. So Josiah Owens is definitely kind of like an unsung hero of last week. But Mikey Dominic, Braden Rouse, they played their butts off. And then, Jalen Williams, who's a corner, shut down their best receiver. I think he had 1 catch. And then Joel Combe and Tony Forney in the back end kind of kept everything in front of them.
Well, again, that was Kell football head coach Bobby May. Coach May, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck in the 3rd round of the playoffs.
Thanks, guys.
We will be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Nothing is as pure and special as high school sports in the state of Georgia. And Score Atlanta is its #1 fan. High school sports are about families, kids chasing their dreams, communities supporting their teams year in and year out, neighborhood signs, and off-season workouts when nobody's looking. It's the biggest stage that young athletes get to climb for the very first time. And Score Atlanta wants to connect your brand with Georgia high school sports in ways that have never been available before.
In addition to our Georgia High School Sports Daily Show, Score Atlanta provides continuous coverage of the Georgia High School football season through its televised games, stories, and rankings. Score Atlanta puts on some of the most notable events like the Kell Dave Hunter Classic, the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Elite Classic. All of these elements offer sponsors exclusive opportunities and exposure. So let's talk about how you can reach millions of people who enjoy Georgia high school sports. For more information, contact Score Atlanta today.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Cartersville football head coach Conor Foster. Coach Foster, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
So, Coach, your team had a huge win over Warner Robins, 64-0 in the second round of the playoffs. Just talk about what impressed you most from their performance.
Just really proud of our kids for executing in all three phases. You know, we had a lot of guys that were out sick during the week, and proud of how they responded. Everybody in our program really stepped up, and whether it be on Zoom meetings, doing everything that they can to make sure that we're the best version of ourselves come Friday night.
And Coach, this Friday night you're going to face Kell in the quarterfinals. Just talk about what you've been capitalizing on and what you're going to talk about in practice this week.
We're going to talk about gratitude all week. You know, it's a very special week to be practicing the week of Thanksgiving, so we're going to work with a grateful heart and, you know, be mindful that all of our goals are still out in front of us, but grateful for the opportunity to continue to grow together.
And Coach, I want to just talk about the first quarter in this game. You guys, I think, put up 36 points, recovered an onside kick, and just really took advantage of the opportunity. I mean, what was the environment like, the excitement? How pleased were you just with the ability to capitalize on those opportunities?
Yeah, it was a great environment Friday night. Two very proud programs, two great coaching staffs, lots of talent. You know, and our kids just played really well from the beginning. They had two drives early that, you know, we were able to hold, get an interception and force a missed field goal. And from then, our kids just locked in and settled in and really played at an elite level through the remainder of the first quarter.
And then I think last time you were on the show, I asked you about Maddox Davis. He had another big performance, some explosive plays. Only a sophomore. Just talk about just the big plays that he's been able to bring to the team.
Yeah, I mean, he affects the game in all three phases. There's not very many guys anymore, certainly not at our level, that really contribute the way that he does in all three phases. Dynamic in the return game. He played corner for us a ton the other night, as well as making some big plays out there, wide receiver. So just a kind of a throwback, a great competitor, a lot of fun to coach, and a great kid.
Then, Coach, I just want to talk about kind of this stretch that y'all are on right now. Y'all have outscored your last four opponents 219-7. Y'all have given up one touchdown. You've scored 50 points in all four games. Just talk to me about the complete games your team is playing.
I think our kids are just hungry to get better. I think that's really the big thing. Elite teams, great teams, they continue to get better throughout the season. And you got a team that's hungry. You got a team with great senior leadership, and you got guys that are embracing their roles. And I think when you can pair all those things together, you got a chance to have something really special.
Then, Coach, I wanted to ask about y'all's starting quarterback, Nate Russell. One of the more underrated quarterbacks, in my opinion, in the state. Just talk to me about the leadership, and both on and off the field, and just the production he brings to your team.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I mean, I think he was 80% completion percentage in region play, and he's been playing his best football in our biggest moments. He's a guy that's a 3.5-year starter, a guy that's gotten better every year. You know, credit to him for working so hard and for his family, as well as Coach Rickman and our quarterback coach, and just speaks volumes to his leadership, but also our ability to develop players.
And then, Coach, just talk about what you've seen from running back Braylon Hill this season.
Well, he's you know, he gives us something different out of the backfield. His ability to catch the football, his ability to make guys miss. He's been a team first player. He's a guy that we rotated quite a bit early on in the season. Maybe, you know, didn't get as many carries maybe as he had hoped for early in the season, but we're certainly riding him now. He's playing his best football at the right time. He's healthy. He was on a little bit different emotional level Friday night, so it was good to see that energy from him. It was infectious for everybody.
And then, Coach, you mentioned that senior leadership aspect of your program. Just highlight some of those seniors that have been able to step up and step into that role this season.
Sure. We talked about Nate earlier. Reed Zell for us over there on defense, multi-year starter, a guy that had a big interception, big pick six for us there against Warner Robins. And, Davis Waddell, Langston Hogg, Braden Logan, Ramsey Rowell, our kicker, stepping up and really providing some leadership. I mean, I could go on and on down the line. We got Jackson Montgomery back just a couple weeks ago, a senior that we thought we'd lost for the season has come back and played some big minutes first down the stretch. And, I could just go on and on. They all have excellent stories, and their stories are making us better.
Then, Coach, what's this week like going to be just in terms of Thanksgiving, being able to kind of celebrate the privilege of still playing, but then preparing for this trip on Friday?
It's a very special week. Like I said, we're going to focus on gratitude all week and have a grateful heart. And we let different seniors and coaches share every day what it is that they're thankful for. And it gives the opportunity to grow together, some shared experiences, lots of shared meals. We got different people in the community that'll be feeding us, 2 meals every day. And so we get to spend a lot of time together. We love each other. We'll grow even tighter throughout the course of this week.
Then talk a little bit about what you've seen from Kell this season. Their defense has been playing very well, but what do you look for in this matchup?
They're just incredibly talented and an elite coaching staff. Probably underrated the job that they've done at Kell over the years. Coach has done a fantastic job of continuing to build that program. And again, just a ton of talent. We'll certainly have our work cut out for us. I expect it to be a huge environment.
And then, Coach, I wanted to ask about going on the road in the playoffs. It's not something y'all do a ton. Y'all are so dominant. You're always a 1 seed. It always comes down to a coin flip if y'all have to. Just getting these kids ready for this road trip.
Yeah, kids have answered every bell. I expect them to do the same again this week. We talked a lot about focusing on ourselves and not being circumstantial. So it'll be a great challenge for us. It's something that we'll talk about all week is, taking that challenge head on and kind of going at it with a chip on our shoulder. Every week, there's going to be people who pick against us for various reasons. And so embrace it. It's part of playing at Cartersville. And so, let's go take it head on.
And then talk about Kell's defense, but you talk about that chip on your team's shoulder. What has the defense at Cartersville been like this year, and how confident are you just how they would stack up against anyone in this classification?
Well, they've gotten better every week. Early on, we're kind of trying to figure out our personnel, and we've made some changes. Credit to Coach Chapman, our defense coordinator, Coach Dawson Mitchell, and a handful of our defensive staff that really kind of piece this thing together a little bit differently than we have in the past. We've got some different bodies. Kylan Pope and Davis Waddell has given us some flexibility to get in and out of 3- and 4-man fronts. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a challenge for me, a long-time defensive coach, to have to learn some new things and grow and be stretched in some different ways to put our kids in the best position to be successful. And they've gotten better every week. They've answered the challenge. And this week, we're playing a team with fantastic talent and a great coaching staff. So what we've done in the past is really, insignificant at this point. It's about being our best this week.
Again, that was Cartersville football head coach Conor Foster. Coach Foster, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck in the 3rd round.
No, thank you so much for having me, and it's a blessing to still be working and playing. Go Canes.
We will be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. Now we're going to take a look at some scores from around the state from this past Friday night, guys. First, I want to start off with this West Forsyth win over Hillgrove, 53-17. This is a huge win for West Forsyth, guys. Just talk about this game.
Yeah, that score is wrong, correct?
Yeah.
20-17, but you're right. West Forsyth got the win. I feel like they've been playing very well in this matchup. Hillgrove has one of the better run defenses. You have Andrew Davis has been filling in at the running back position. We saw in the first round, West Forsyth had a big night on the ground, but they adapted, and Max Wellraven had a good outing. I think he was 10 of 12 passing. So this is a good game plan for West Forsyth, and I feel like this matchup against North Gwinnett, these are two teams that have been more creative than we've seen in recent weeks, just understanding what their opponents want to do. I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup, but certainly the West Forsyth win over Hillgrove, probably one that not a lot of people saw coming.
Yeah, Coach Sevilla down there at West Forsyth has done an amazing job with this program. This is their 3rd quarterfinals appearance under him. This is their 2nd straight one. Wellraven's done an amazing job at quarterback. I think he's another one of those underrated quarterbacks in the state. Has FCS offers right now. I'm interested to see what this North Gwinnett-West Forsyth game is, because I think both those teams are kind of on opposite paths, where North Gwinnett's really young, but this is West Forsyth's Super Bowl. This is their year. They're very senior laden. They may not have the 4 or 5-star guys, but there's a lot of experience on this team. I'm excited to see what they can do.
Now let's throw up some more scores and let's take a look. Here we have Northeast Macon defeating Swainsboro, Greater Atlanta Christian defeating Landmark Christian. Blessed Trinity was not able to get the win over Marist, and Creekside dominates once again 49-0 over Ware County. Guys, just talk to me about these outcomes.
Yeah, 2 solid wins in a row for Northeast Macon. They beat Fannin County in the first round. Solid win over Swainsboro. The Marist win over BT. BT, I think, was up 10-7 at the half of this game. Marist held them scoreless in the second half, forced some turnovers, took advantage of that. They're still cruising. They're going to be obviously a dangerous team. I thought BT matched up well against them, but we'll see what Marist will do the next round. And I thought JC is one of their better wins this season. Defense played well. Offensively, they've been scoring a high rate all season long, but a really solid performance. Then what more can you say about Creekside and their dominance?
Yeah, I think when you look at that GAC game, this is their first win over a good team that hasn't been a really close, almost shootout kind of game. I think it bodes well for them moving forward. This is their first quarterfinal appearance since, I believe, 2019 or 2020. It's been a little while. They haven't been playing at their form that they set between 2015 and 2020. But I think they're getting back there. I think they're playing really good football. I'm excited to see what they do this coming week.
Now let's take a look at some more scores. Here you're going to see that Central Carrollton defeated Cambridge 64-29. This is a huge win for them. Peach County and Jenkins faced off. Jenkins was able to come out with this win. We just talked about this, but Cartersville had a huge win over Warner Robins 64-0, and Athens Academy and Holy Innocents faced off. Athens Academy was able to get the win 48-37. Guys, just talk to me about these scores.
Yeah, putting up 48 points for Athens Academy on a really solid Holy Innocents defense. I think it just shows how potent that passing attack and explosive offense is for Athens Academy. We just talked to Cartersville, their dominant victory. They're outscoring their first 2 playoff opponents 117-0 right now. Hard to find a team hotter than them. Central Carroll's win over Cambridge, that was a game where you knew going into it you're going to have to slow down Craig Dandridge, but offensively, that's a big statement for them. And then the win by Jenkins over Peach County, a potential state championship contender, is a huge victory.
Yeah, I think the most impressive part for that Central Carroll team is that they're able to put up so many points for me. This is a team that really likes to run the ball. I mean, the Walton brothers are 2 of the best running backs in the state. Both are going to be, Jones is committed to Notre Dame for a reason. The younger Walton brother is going to be just as high of a recruit. To put up 64 with kind of their offense of, we want to keep it on the ground, we want to shorten the game, is really impressive, and the defense just played great. They're really shutting down that Cambridge team.
Now let's take a look at some more scores. Here you're going to see North Hall and LaGrange. LaGrange got a big win, 52-28. Brooks County and Johnson County faced off a more low score game, 14-7. Bleckley County and Worth County saw each other. Worth County was able to get the win 38-35, and Hapeville Charter and Appling County faced each other. Hapeville Charter came out with the win 35-27.
Yeah, big result for Hapeville Charter. I think with Brooks County, they've won a lot of games like this year. The offense hasn't been scoring a lot, but defensively they're so talented. 14-7 victory for them. The Bleckley County-Worth County game, that was one where I think Worth County had to come back, or that was a pretty streaky game for both those teams. And then the LaGrange and North Hall, we talked about it last Friday. This game was close until late in the game when LaGrange made that push.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that Bleckley County-Worth County game, that was a crazy game. It looked like Bleckley County was going to upset Worth County. It's really the first time Worth County's had a lot of points put up on them. They were able to score what they normally do. They were able to come away with that win. Then I believe that game was only a 1-score game between LaGrange and North Hall in the fourth quarter. North Hall just kind of ran out of steam late in that game. LaGrange was able to come away with the win once again, much like they did last year. I'm really excited to see what LaGrange can do moving forward and into the next round of the playoffs.
Now we're going to take a look at some more scores. Here you're going to see Carver Atlanta. They were able to get the win over Pierce County 48-28. Guys, just talk about how big of a win this is and what you expect to see from this Carver Atlanta team moving forward.
Yeah, Pierce County is a team that's just so physical. They've been running the same offense for a long time. It just proves Carver Atlanta has the physicality in this Class 2A to really make a run. they look like between them and Carver, Columbus, the two top teams right now. North Gwinnett, what a game by Jake Godfrey. I think he had 19 tackles on defense, and then offensively they threw some new wrinkles in it. That was a big win for a North Gwinnett team that has not lost since week 1.
Yeah, North Gwinnett, a really scary team. I think they're kind of under the radar right now. They have a tough test this week with West Forsyth, but I think they're kind of that team that's getting completely left out of the state championship conversation, and I'm not sure that's fair.
Coming up this Friday, we're going to have our game of the week, Cartersville versus Kell. You can tune in for that on Friday night starting at 7:30. As always, thank you for joining us here, and we will be right back here tomorrow with more Georgia High School Sports Daily.
We saw some squirrels were trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because I didn't go through those services initially.
Our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know, just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.